All right, welcome back to another episode of this podcast video. Today I want to talk about your alcohol selection in your restaurant. Alcohol in your restaurant is an upsell. It's also a service for your customers. Having a good selection of alcohol is quite important because it's a statement in your restaurant. Behind me there's my wall of single malt whiskeys. It's all from Scotland. They're all Scotch basically. It's a statement in my restaurant. I pride myself on having the biggest collection of Scotch whiskey in my town. So basically when people are looking for something different, something special, they come here. And you got to remember also, if you don't drink, right, if you're going to, I'll make an example. When you go to a restaurant, right, and you see like a wall of alcohol or a large selection of alcohol, the first thing you think is like, well, these guys are not playing around, right? They're serious about their business. They're serious about their investment. You feel like anything you need can be provided. You feel like there's thought put behind the restaurant or what's happened inside the restaurant. Also, some people spend money on decoration, painting, and art and stuff like that. It's not really my thing. Art is not. Decoration is actually behind me. As you can see in my restaurant, mostly everything is related to alcohol on my walls. I've got pictures of distilleries. I've got pictures of stills. I've got huge blackboards, as you can see in the video here. Huge blackboards of the menu of my whiskeys, and it's also a conversation piece with people who don't really know what good whiskey is or good Scotch is. So I replace the money spent into art, like a nice painting, good paintings can run you like thousands of dollars, and whiskey can run you thousands of dollars too. So pretty much it's a choice you have to make. For me, it works better this way because it's like I said before, I pride myself on having the biggest collection, right? So automatically it's already an added value. Restaurants that we have the nicest art collection, it's not really appealing to anyone, and also it's not an upsell. Every time you sell a beer or whiskey, it's an upsell. It's what we call it in the business here. I also have a very large selection of beer. As you can see here, I've got a lot of IPAs from, remember I'm in Taiwan, so IPAs from California, America, are a little bit more difficult to get here. So I also have a large selection of this. I think I have like 20 to 30 different kinds of beer in my fridge. Also my wine selection is not very extensive, but it's a good wine selection. I think I have like 20 different kinds of bottles. One thing to remember with wine in your wine fridge is that you don't want to be too expensive. You don't want to be too cheap. Like mostly all my bottles, they sell for about $30 to $60 in the restaurant. So my cost for this is probably going to be between $10 and $30 a bottle. So you got to find a good medium where your customers can afford to pay. Also, another thing to remember about wine, in your wine fridge, don't have single bottles. It just doesn't look good. When you have singles, it means it looks like you're not behind that product, and then people, they're just like, well, there's not a lot of this. Is this good? They don't sell. Is it a leftover? So try to have multiple of one kind. If you don't have the budget to stack like 20 different kinds of bottle like I do, take 4 or 5, like a Cabernet, maybe a Malbec, a Pinot Noir, a white, and then have like 4 or 5 of these bottles in your fridge. That way people will think that you're behind this product. It's a good product, and actually it should be a good product, but it's the mental aspect of selling products, of pushing products. In the whiskey selection, also have the same thing but differently. You don't want to have multiples of one because it's stupid. Keep in mind that, you know, when you go to a restaurant and you see 2, 3, 4, or 10 bottles of alcohol behind in a bar here, it looks a little bit weak, right? People don't trust. When I go to a restaurant, I see 10 bottles. I know, okay, these guys don't know their alcohol, right? Basically, they have 2 bottles of, let's say, single malt, and that's all they know. So I can't count on them to provide a service in that area. So basically, I'm probably going to skip on the alcohol because, you know, a Jack Daniels is a great bottle. I know what I'm getting, but I'm not going to that restaurant to get added service, added value, and they are pretty much losing the upsell because it's not strong enough, in my opinion, of course. Hey, who knows what I'm talking about, but It works for me. So I do things a little bit different here. I do it in a series. For example, behind me you'll see the Balvenie. I'll take a few bottles here. I'll just take the 12 for example, right? But usually in all my series, I'll go for the 12, 15, 18, 21, and so on. I want people to be able to compare the lineage of a bottle from 12 to its conclusion. But for example, I go a little bit deeper here. I've got a 12-year Balvenie. This is an American oak. Then I have a 12-year Balvenie again, and that would be double wood. And here I have another Balvenie 12 years, but this one is a single barrel. So you see what I'm talking about here. So when a customer asks you like, oh, I want a Balvenie 12 years, then you go like, which one would you like? Then the question pops up, like, are there more than one? And then you can actually have a conversation and do an upsell to your customer, letting know that you know what you're talking about. And then the customer, instead of buying just one glass of this, probably gonna buy two, because you say, well, what's the difference? Are they the same price, right? So you get a story here. The same thing. Let's move on to the 14, right? Again, a little bit different here. Here I have a 14. This one here is a golden cask, right? And this one here is a Caribbean cask, and this one here is another 14. That's a week of peat, right? So completely different bottles. Then again, we could talk about these bottles for 10 minutes, and then I have the opportunity to make an upsell. The same with the Dalmore. I have a 12, I have a 15, I have a 18, I have a cigar malt, a Portwood, a King Alexander. So again, when people go like, they ask you, so what's the difference between a 15 and 18? And then you say, well, let me help you to find out. Again, opportunity for an upsell. So when you have a setup like this where you can actually add value to your customer experience, you increase your chances of doing an upsell. When you go to a nice restaurant, you know, they have like a huge wall of wine or a big wine cellar. Even though you're not gonna drink wine, you know these guys are not playing. So you have more confidence in the restaurant, in the service, in the product. You know, if they put so much thought in that wine collection, that whiskey collection, that cocktail collection, you know that they put the same amount of effort inside the restaurant as well, in the food, right? The kitchen, they're not playing around. If they're spending that much money for this, well, they're not going to be cheap on the food. They're going to do it properly. So it's a mind game, but it's not a mind game, but it's a state of mind. It's the word I was looking for. Sorry, English second language here. So things to think about. The cocktail game is not really my game. I do have a large selection of gin for gin tonics or Tom Collins. I think I have like 12, 13 different kinds of gin. I'm not in the tequila game. Tequila game is just not happening in Taiwan. It's not the place for it. Cocktails a little bit different. I don't really enjoy that game because to make a good cocktail, a nice cocktail takes 3 to 5 minutes. If you have a table of 4, they all take different cocktails. Well, you're 15 minutes in for one table, so it's labor intensive and worker intensive. I have them, they're simple. I don't do elaborate like flowers and fruits, and I don't jack my cocktails this high, and it's just not my game. For me, I chose a specific area, single malt scotch. Maybe for you, this is not what, maybe you're gonna be a draft beer guy, right? Maybe some people, they have like 10 pumps of draft. It's not really my game because I don't sell enough beer to empty all my kegs. And still, since I don't really drink anymore, I'm more like a whiskey taster. Kegs won't go empty, it's a waste, or you have to freebie it to customers. And if you give something for free to customers, well, it's money you're not making. So unless it's a taster, you shouldn't give anything free to customers. So draft beer is not really my thing. We don't have like it's not really in the culture of this country either. I don't even have a pump anymore because I figured I'll just have quality IPAs or quality craft beers and German beers, and that's going to be my game for my restaurant because I can keep these bottles for a month or two, and because I can keep them for long, 2-3 months, then I can have a larger inventory, like a larger selection of craft beers in my restaurant. So I think for me it works better like this. So it's something you need to think about when you're going to do your wine card or alcohol card. I'll make some videos. I think I made a few whiskey reviews on my channel. You can check them out. If you have any questions about whiskey or feel free to ask in the comment section. I'm pretty open about everything, as you know. If you have any other questions or any other comments, don't be shy. And I'll catch you later in the next video. Cheers.